Good afternoon. I'm Colin Crawford. I'm the 24th Dean of the School of Law at the University of Louisville, the Brandeis School of Law, and it's a tremendous pleasure to be here and to greet you and the class of 2018. It's no secret, of course, to most of the people in this room that the last 2 years have not been the easiest for the University of Louisville. And although they have largely not touched the School of Law, they have nonetheless been times that have sometimes been challenging and difficult. But I also think it's very important to remember the many, many strengths that bind us and that position us so well for a very strong future. And that begins with a group of very, very talented students like the 104 graduates you see in front of you, and the fact that they will graduate from what is the nation's 5th continuously operating law school. That is, this is a law school that has a long and storied history. It has many, many successes to point to in the past and just as many to point to in the future. And I know that many of the people sitting on the stage will be part of that story that we will continue to tell. We have the good fortune to live in a beautiful, dynamic, manageable city, one with a very cohesive, tightly knit legal community, and blessed by very warm and welcoming people. And all of those things speak very well and promise for a very bright future for all of us. I'd like now to introduce some of the people who are here with me. To my immediate right is Rachel Den Hollander, who is our speaker. I'll speak about her in just a little bit. And also to introduce to you Karen Faulkner, 205 graduate of the law school, who is the representative of our Law Alumni Council. I will also indicate on the other side of the stage, to the far right, is Assistant Dean Jennifer DeSanza, who was largely responsible for putting on this event, and we're very grateful to her for that. And also the faculty hooders, Professors Jamie Abrams, Les Abramson, Ariana Levinson, Sam Markison, Shelley Santry, Joanne Sweeney, and Justin Walker. At this time, I'd like to indicate each of the very distinguished faculty who are on the stage with me, but as I introduce each of them, I'd ask that the faculty members stand and be recognized, but ask that you hold your applause until all of them have been identified. So once again, I'd like the faculty member to stand when I call their name. First, Jamie Abrams, Les Abramson, Tom Blackburn, Scott Campbell, John Cross, David Ensign, Aaron Gow, Tim Hall, Robin Harris, Will Hilliard, Ariana Levinson, Sam Markison, Lisa Nicholson, Cedric Merlin Powell, Laura Rothstein, Shelley Santry, Joanne Sweeney, Enid Trucios Haynes, Justin Walker, and Russell Weaver. Please join me in thanking them. The life of a law school is long, and like any life, has blessed moments and moments of sadness. And I do have one moment of sadness to share with you all. Many of you here know that Professor Jim Jones, who was a member of this faculty for 32 years, died last week, leaving behind him an incredible legacy of teaching and scholarship. Professor Jones taught in a wide range of areas for these years, and also focused specifically and memorably on questions of mental illness among professionals. He will always be remembered by this School of Law as a dedicated teacher with a deep, deep devotion to his students and a leader in the field of medical health advocacy. As you will see, there is an open seat at the end of the first row, that is left in honor of Professor Jones. And many of you, certainly the students, will know of his affection for his dachshunds. And so that seat is not truly empty. You see that we found actually in his office a small stuffed dachshund which was serving for the real thing. In addition, of course, there are other ways that we end up having to say goodbye to people. And one of the people, and sadly, that we will say goodbye to this year is Barbara Thompson. It's safe to say that Barbara Thompson has touched the lives of generations and generations of lawyers at the University of Louisville, not to mention the people who have worked with her over all of this time. Barbara manages student records, assists with registration and scheduling, administers makeup exams, a million things that mostly go unseen by many of us. And she also is very important in putting on graduation. And I'm sorry to say that Barbara will retire very shortly, but she has been on the staff since 1971, and she is certainly facing a very, very well-deserved retirement with her beloved family. We are actually going to have a retirement party for Barbara in the coming days, and we have a gift for her at that time. But I wanted, because she has been such an important fixture at this law school, I wanted to ask her to come out now so that we can give her a big round of applause and show our thanks. Barbara Thompson. So as I say, Barbara, we do have some presents for you, but you're getting them at your retirement. So thank you again. In addition, I want to take this opportunity very briefly to congratulate my colleague, Professor Cedric Merlin Powell, who last week received the University of Louisville's Distinguished Faculty Award for Service. For this law school, for our university, and for the community, Professor Powell is notable for his service and richly deserves this award. Please join me in congratulating him. If you were able to catch him standing up for that millisecond, it also speaks to his humility. Now I'd just like to share, for friends and family who are here assembled, some of the achievements of this class and some of the things of which we are so proud. I'm going to note some of the individual achievements and also some of the group activities to give you an idea of what they do. But note that you should know that each one of these students has, in their individual way, in his or her way, distinguished him or herself in some way. Consider the following. Of the 104 people in this class, many of them already come to us holding advanced degrees. They have undergraduate institutions from 42 different institutions. Members of this class have served in various branches of the military all over the globe, and I'd like to ask those students who have served in the military to stand briefly so that we may recognize them and thank them as well. Some are single, some are not. Some are married, some have families, some have many families, children, excuse me. I hope they do not have many families. But have many children. Indeed, I'm constantly astonished to meet single parents who are juggling 2 and 3 children while they go to law school. This class, the class of 2018, performed 4,704 hours of public service. That's an average of 32 hours per student, and many students served many, many more. We have students who have logged in 100 or more hours each of public service, and that's something of which we're very proud. We were one of the first law schools in the country to require a public service requirement, and that is something, if you know anything about our namesake, Justice Louis D. Brandeis, very much in his tradition. Justice Brandeis, even when who is a son of Louisville, even when he was working as a corporate lawyer, was always dedicated to include public service in his work, and we're very proud of that. A good example of that service is our graduate, Michaela Hayes. Michaela is the recipient of the Samuel L. Greenbaum Public Service Award because she performed, are you ready for this, 253 hours of service at 5 different public service placements. And we're especially proud because Michaela comes to us from the Central High School Partnership. She was a student at Central and moved from that pipeline on then to come to the University of Louisville School of Law, where she was an Edwin H. Perry Mediation Fellow. Michaela, can you stand so that we can know who we're celebrating? Some other statistics for you that speak to the accomplishment of this group. We have before you 24 of these students will graduate cum laude, that is with honors, 22 magna cum laude with high honors, and 3 summa cum laude with very highest honors. This year, we also have 4 graduates who graduate with receiving the Certificate of Transactional Skills, 2 of them with distinction. 4 students will receive certificates in litigation skills. And those numbers may strike you as small, but for a relatively small school of law, let me assure you that they speak very powerfully to the achievement here. The award of a certificate is meant to demonstrate to potential employers that the student possesses additional training beyond the normal kit of lawyering skills courses that they follow and the values associated with either transactional or litigation practice. So please join me in congratulating those students as well. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you our Student Bar Association President, Kevin Imhoff. He is going to present the remarks for the class of 2018. Kevin is an impressive student leader who's shown a lot of energy and dedication to this law school, and I look forward to continuing to work with him as he becomes a member of our Law Alumni Council, as I am almost sure will be the case. Kevin's been on the University of Louisville Law Review. That, again, is a distinction. He's a member of the Federalist Society, and perhaps most notably, I don't know, Kevin can correct me on this, is in a student band that played at the Lollapalooza, which is a big benefit we put on in the spring. Kevin will be working next year for the Stoll Keenan Ogden firm here in Louisville, and so please join me in welcoming Kevin to hear the remarks for the class of 2018.
This is a little low for me, but thank you, Dean Crawford, for making me sound a lot cooler than I actually am. And as president of the Student Bar Association, I take full responsibility for leading us down the wrong way. Good evening, graduates, faculty, Ms. Denhollander, parents, grandparents, spouses, significant others, siblings, children, friends, administrators, bartenders, and therapists. Today is the culmination of 3 long years of hard work, dedication, and desire. And when I say they were long years, I mean long. I want to begin my student address by thanking all the family and friends that have been along for the ride. We are forever indebted to those who have supported us during our time at Brandeis. Thank you for your love, your patience, encouragement, and understanding. I also want to say thank you to the wonderful faculty, staff, administrators at Brandeis. Without your support and direction, each person in our class will not have reached the milestone that we are celebrating here today. Without the support and love from both groups, our journey would have been much more difficult if not impossible, to complete. So thank you. Give yourself a round of applause. Today is a day of celebration. Our 3 years in law school have been exciting, trying, stressful, and sometimes downright exhausting. The phrase survive in advance comes to mind when I think of how we ended up here today. We've put in countless hours of reading, outlining, studying, and working practice problems. We've learned the ins and outs of constitutional law, criminal law, property, secured transactions, torts, tax, legal writing, and the list goes on and on. We've also learned some things we probably will never use again. We've learned that it's important to read everything, even the obscure footnotes that you always want to skip over. We've learned the right answer to most every question is, it depends. We've learned you can survive off only Papa John's pizza, and that about a $2 Starbucks coffee with your loan money is actually about $4 with interest. But in all seriousness, the pace of law school is fast, and you consume more material than you ever think is possible. And as we sit here today, we're prepared to embark on a new chapter of our lives. We're also aware that we have much to learn. However, I'm confident that the knowledge that we've gained over the last 3 years and the way we have trained our minds to analyze issues and solve problems with creativity and efficiency will help us succeed no matter what path we choose. Today, at the summit of our educational journey, it is surely satisfying. The 3-year climb has tested our endurance, our spirit, and our will. But there's no question that Brandeis has transformed us into the men and women that we are today and who we will be in the future. Several weeks ago, I had the privilege of meeting our guest speaker, Ms. Rachel Denhollander, for dinner, along with several other students and Dean Crawford. During our dinner, Rachel asked each of us, "What defines your class?" I hadn't really thought of an answer, but I quickly responded with one word: resilience. The class of 2018 has seen 3 different university presidents, and we've had 3 law school deans. While we were in school, we've seen administrative shortcomings come out of Grawemeyer Hall, and we've seen an athletics program riddled with scandals. But thankfully, the solid leadership at Brandeis shielded us from the deficiencies of the university as a whole. But nonetheless, we were exposed to it all. It's hard to forget walks to class that involve looking upon a myriad of news trucks surrounding Grawemeyer Hall. And for the record, I'm still wondering why when students park in the circle, they always get tickets in a matter of minutes, but then U of L parking doesn't ticket the WHAS or Wave 3 News. I don't know. Despite all of this, as is evidenced today, the class of 2018 flourished. From the moment that we signed our pledge back in 2015, we became members of one family. During our time in law school, we've remained close and we've bonded through difficult circumstances. Simply put, we've got grit. We were the constant in an ever-changing environment, and while we were faced with uncertainties and ridicule from the outsiders in the community, we succeeded because we are diverse, we are empowering, engaging, and thoughtful. Resiliency is a quality that is defined when people are knocked down by life and they come back stronger than ever. Rather than letting failure overcome them and drain their resolve, resilient people find a way to rise from the ashes. In our future careers as lawyers, there's no doubt that we will fail, that we will lose a motion or a trial, that's for certain. But what makes this class of 2018 stand out is our ability to bounce back. We won't back down when we are faced with failure, but instead we'll be resilient advocates and try again with our best efforts. I am so proud of how far we have come as a class, and I'm excited to see where the future takes us. The class of 2018 is comprised of a talented group. Like the graduates who came before us, we are your future judges, your next state representatives and members of Congress, public defenders and prosecutors, CEOs, general counsels, entrepreneurs, and we probably have a few heavy hitters here, maybe a few Saul Goodmans. But all jokes aside, the class of 2018 is comprised of some of the most impressive individuals that I've ever encountered. I'm reminded of individuals like Joey Wilkerson and Michaela Hayes, who have spent their time and energy at Brandeis dedicating themselves to public service. Joey has logged over 564 public service hours himself, and he led the Student Bar Association's 1L Service Day project, among many other projects. During her time at Brandeis, Michaela recorded over 250 hours of service herself. She's done work for the Louisville Legal Aid Society, Jefferson County Teen Court, and has been involved with the Central High School Street Law program. I mean, some of us struggle to satisfy the minimum requirement, yet Joey and Michaela, their spirit is reflected in each of us in the class of 2018. In fact, our class has dedicated nearly 5,000 hours to public service and bettering the community around us. Several students in our class actually obtained limited license to practice law, mediation certificates, and completed externships and represented real clients in real cases. My wife is going to hate this, but my wife completed her first trial over spring break. That's dedication. And what I love about my class is these students that were focused on results and not recognition. Our class doesn't care as much about success as they do significance and helping people in areas where they cannot help themselves. Once again, I'm reminded of the resilience of my classmates. Members of the 2018 class have worked multiple jobs while in school. They've raised children while in school, and they've served their country while in school. I am so impressed by each and every one of you. Today is a celebration of the peak of our academic career. We all come from different backgrounds, we have different interests, we have different goals and different dreams. But in just a few more minutes, we will all be Brandeis graduates. We are united through an experience that has been unlike any other. We've shared successes, we've shared good times, and we struggled through hard times, but we did it. I have had such an amazing time at Brandeis, and I hope this class has an amazing day celebrating our accomplishments. And I also hope that LexisNexis points can be used to pay off our student loans. Congratulations, class of 2018, and thank you for a wonderful 3 years. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Our speaker for the 2018 Brandeis School of Law convocation is Ms. Rachel Den Hollander. Rachel Den Hollander is a 2009 graduate of the Oak Brook College of Law and is admitted to practice in California. She's also a former competitive gymnast and came to national prominence in 2016 when she was the first woman to come forward and publicly accuse Dr. Larry Nassar, the Michigan State University sports physician, of sexual abuse. Ms. Den Hollander's willingness to do so is widely credited for leading scores of others to speak out as well. As Louisville State Senator Morgan McGarvey said, and I quote, "It took the courage and bravery of one woman to stand up and speak out to trigger the events that led to Dr. Nassar's conviction." Close quote. On the day of Dr. Nassar's sentencing, Judge Rosemarie Aquilina said to her, "You started the tidal wave. You made all of this happen. You made all of these voices matter. Your sister survivors and I thank you. You are the bravest person I have ever had in my courtroom." Ms. Den Hollander has written an op-ed about these experiences in the New York Times. She has appeared on most of the known national and international media outlets. Time magazine recently named her as one of 2018's most influential people. But perhaps most strikingly for me, she's using all of this attention to continue to do very important work. For example, in March, she spoke to a panel of the UN Commission on the Status of Women. She's worked in the Michigan Senate. She's just returned, in fact, from Michigan, despite being 6.5 months pregnant, from the Michigan Senate, and tomorrow leaves for California, where she's going to do mediation. She says, however, that education is her passion, and so she very warmly accepted our invitation to come and be our graduation speaker. We're absolutely delighted to have Rachel Den Hollander with us today. Please join me in thanking her and welcoming her.
Thank you. It is truly an honor to be asked to take part in this day, recognizing the graduates of Brandeis Law School. I had the privilege recently of getting to spend time with some of the leaders in the class and to learn more about what your class stands for and some of the incredible things that you have been involved in already. And it was truly an encouragement to me to see how much time and talent and effort and energy has been poured back into your community, poured back into fighting for justice and speaking truth, and fighting for those who don't have a voice. So thank you. I know for many of you, carving out your class identity has been a challenge, as so much turmoil has swirled around the university as a whole, and there has been so much transition, even within your own law school. And yet through this, you have chosen to persevere. You have remained focused. You have remained diligent. And I am confident that this will not be the last time that you need to tune out confusion and controversy to remain focused on your end goal. I also thoroughly enjoyed conversing with the graduates about the ins and outs of law school because it brought back wonderful memories for me of my own time, even in bar prep. It has been almost 10 years since I graduated, which sounds like a really long time when I think about it. But these are memories that I treasure and look back on. And the only major casualty I'm happy to share with you of my time in law school is that I have a long-lasting hatred of Beethoven's Toccata and Fugue. Because I had the privilege of living at home during my time in law school, which was a wonderful blessing. But we lived in a very small home, and my study area was about 20 feet from my sister's upright grand piano. And during my final month of bar prep, she was in scholarship competition, and she was perfecting Beethoven's Toccata and Fugue. And for those of you who are not familiar with that piece, it is a very dynamic piece with a lot of bass notes. And out of all the wonderful things that can be said about my sister, two of them are that she's very faithful in practicing, and she plays with a lot of energy. So you can imagine what that meant for me, trying to write essays and perform MBEs 20 feet away from an upright grand piano that seemed to be in perpetual use. I got so desperate for peace and quiet that I actually wound up sitting outside in my parents' car in the middle of winter in Michigan to try to find some solace for studying, and I could still hear her outside playing. So I wound up making an appeal to my local church to be allowed to sit in a classroom and discovered that they don't heat the church in between Sunday services. So the vast majority of my bar prep was done in my mother's oversized down winter coat with a latte to try to keep me warm. And yet, 10 years later, I have nothing but good memories, save for hating Beethoven's Toccata and Fugue. So the moral of my story is, based on everything I have heard about your class and your law school, I am confident that even through the stress of bar prep, you will be able to look back on your time with beautiful and wonderful memories. Nonetheless, I wish you much peace and quiet and warmth in the coming months as you study. Spending time with members of your class also has caused me to reflect even more on what has stayed with me positively from my experience in law school. I was blessed, as you all have been, to have professors that pour time and energy into me. And there was a threefold challenge that my professor from trial advocacy gave to me when I graduated, and I want to pass that on to you today because I believe it is very relevant for the goals and ambitions and characteristics of your class, particularly for a class that has been so dedicated to using their legal training to make the world a better place. My professors reminded us over and over again that our legal training was going to put us in a position where we would be sought for help regularly, not just by clients, but also by friends, acquaintances, and sometimes even strangers who happened to find out we were attorneys. And most importantly, they emphasized that many times when we would be approached for help or counsel, it would be by people who were facing very real suffering and very real challenges, people who desperately needed help, and who would be in a very real sense dependent not only on our skill as an attorney, but on our legal ethic, on our integrity, and on our compassion. And I understood this to a point. But it wasn't until I graduated and experienced being approached on a consistent basis by friends and acquaintances for help that I began to realize the real implications of what my professors had challenged me to do. Because the reality is that the world of law and public policy are very foreign worlds to most people, and yet they have incredible real-world impact on almost everyone. Effects that can be to a large degree within a skilled professional's control, for good or ill. And because this world is so foreign to most, yet has such great impact on their lives, your legal training gives you incredible privilege, and it gives you incredible power. Power that you will wield either for self-interest and personal gain, or privilege that you will use to better your community and to better those around you. And as a guiding principle for how to wield this power and to use this privilege, my professors left me with a 3-part challenge. They told me, do this, do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly. I grew in my understanding of these principles as I was approached for help by those who needed it. But I can say that they have taken on a much deeper meaning for me over these last 2 years during this fight to stop Larry Nassar and hold institutions accountable for letting one of the worst predators in U.S. history abuse children for decades. And as I have walked alongside literally hundreds of sexual assault survivors who are experiencing the realities of the legal system for the first time, I have found myself in the very unique position of being an attorney and yet completely at the mercy of other attorneys who held everything, including my reputation, in their hands. Instead of being the person who was sought for help, as I was used to, I was the person seeking help. In fact, the very first person I sought for counsel, and one of the first people in my life to ever even know of my abuse, was an old family friend who was an assistant prosecuting attorney. When I realized I could still file a police complaint, I reached out to this family friend for his input, and he gave of his time and his resources and his skill to recheck my legal research, to look at the evidentiary details in my case, to discuss and provide counsel regarding how I was going to handle the case in the press, and most importantly, he offered to write a letter on my behalf to the investigators, vouching for my character and urging them to take my claims seriously. And he offered to come to court as a character witness for me. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't alone because of this attorney. And his legal training was something he used in a very specific way to enter into my grief and to fight for justice with me at a deeply personal level when he did not have to, but when I needed it the most. His position as a local prosecutor meant his voice had sway where mine suddenly did not. Whereas the victim, I could not do what he could do. And he used that power to aid me when I had nothing to offer in return. Because of his legal skills and his personal integrity, he was uniquely positioned to help me begin the process of bringing down one of the worst pedophiles in U.S. history. And he did it without ever having any official legal involvement in the case. His care for me and the way he used that privilege and power, especially during the first few months when life seemed the darkest, was truly a gift and meant more than he will probably ever know. This attorney did justice. He helped me fight for what was right. He loved mercy. He had compassion on me and these other survivors, and he utilized his legal skills to show it. And he walked humbly. He did not arrogantly refuse to help, though I could offer nothing in return, but instead used what he had been given and the position he had to help someone who is in need. And I have also experienced the opposite reality, because I have been the victim left in control of and entirely dependent on a county prosecutor who did not possess these traits. I have seen both the incredible skill and healing and benefit that comes from an attorney that uses their privilege well and one who does not. Before any charges were levied in my case against Larry, there was a battle behind the scenes on whether or not he was going to be charged at all for any sexual assault he had committed against any survivor. Despite everything I had done and how publicly I had come forward to make this happen, Larry was going to walk away because of an attorney who was interested in an easy conviction to put on her political resume. At the time the decision was made not to prosecute him for sexual assault, I and around 24 other women already had open police files, including the non-medical survivor. I was already an international headline. I was in the throes of defending my reputation and desperately trying to get someone to listen to what was going on. And this county prosecutor agreed to drop every single charge in exchange for a small child porn plea that would have given him a slap on the wrist, almost no jail time. He would have retained his medical license, and he would have continued to abuse children for decades more. And the police chief picked up the phone and he called a different attorney. And he asked the Attorney General to come in and to exercise his authority and to look at our case files. And a woman named Angela Povolitis walked in, and she looked at our case files, and she said, "I will take every single one, and I will fight for all of them." And as survivor after survivor came forward, that's exactly what she did. And when Larry agreed to plead guilty, Angela would only agree to a deal if every single survivor was able to testify at his victim sentencing and give a victim impact statement so that everyone would have a voice. And we had 2 judges, 2 trained attorneys, who also saw the value in justice and mercy, and they agreed to this arrangement. So an attorney who had very little interest in justice, who had no compassion or mercy on the survivors, and who was more interested in self-gain than humble service, nearly let one of the worst pedophiles in recorded history walk away. And an attorney who did justice for all of us, who had compassion and mercy, and who used her privilege humbly for service instead of self-promotion, took down one of the worst pedophiles in U.S. history. And she, in conjunction with 2 more attorneys who shared these principles, gave a voice to 256 women, a voice that was broadcast around the world and has had global impact. And what is most incredible to me is that none of the attorneys who I just referenced, not the attorney I initially disclosed to or any of the women who came in, had any idea what impact they were going to have. No one knew what this was going to turn into. But because these attorneys were committed to doing justice and loving mercy and walking humbly when they had no benefit from it, because they were committed to those principles, they have literally changed the world. And they have impacted hundreds of survivors on a deeply personal level. I don't know what opportunities your class is going to have when you walk out these doors, but I do know that your legal training gives you privilege, and it gives you power. And wherever you work, in whatever vocation you choose, you will be in contact with people who desperately need your skill and your compassion and your integrity. And you are surrounded by a community that needs your skill and your passion and your integrity. So my challenge to you as you exit these doors and rightly rejoice in the incredible accomplishments that you have made is to never forget the passion and the interest that brought you here, and to never forget those around you who are in need of what you now have. My hope for the Brandeis Law School class of 2018 is not just that you will see great success on the bar exam, because I am confident of that, but that you will leave the school, you will enter your communities, and you will do justice. You will love mercy, and you will walk humbly with the privilege you have been given. Congratulations, graduates of 2018.
Thank you very much, Rachel, and for those very, very powerful, moving remarks that I think many of us will remember for years to come. I'm confident of that. We also have a small token of appreciation for you. This is one of our rosewood Brandeis boxes. It has our seal, and it's an inscription for her, and a biography, a very celebrated biography of the Justice, because he embodies much of what we try to do. And now we turn to the momentous part of this afternoon, which is the actual hooding of the graduates, which marks symbolically the completion of this very significant achievement. However, I want to take one moment to talk about the person who made possible the beginning of this journey, because we have a special guest here with us this afternoon, and it's important to recognize him, and that is the former Assistant Dean of Admissions, Henry Cantu, who is now back at home in Texas, but was the man actually responsible for admitting these people. Henry, where are you? Where? Stand up. Up there. He's up in the balcony, So you all owe a big debt of gratitude to Dean Cantu. Thank you very much. And now we'll proceed with the hooding ceremony and the recognition and the awards recognition. Once again, the hooders are Professors Abramson, Levinson, Markison, Santry, Sweeney, and Walker, and they have actually been selected by the students themselves. A word about these hoods, these odd things made for much colder climates that we now wear. They date back to medieval times, and the color is significant. Purple is the color of law, and so that indicates the field and the highest degree. In the case of our students, the red and black, of course, represents the cardinal colors and is used then to bestow the degree of Juris Doctor on them. The draping of the hood, that moment, as I indicated, indicates the symbolic awarding of the degree. And with that, then, will the first row of graduates please stand up? And we can begin with the hooding.
Before we get started, I just want everybody to understand it's not completely in alphabetical order. We have 3 separate hooding groups, so pay attention to when your graduate is walking. Our first graduate is Rebecca Adams, who was the SBA Vice President of Communications and also the Journal of Animal and Environmental Executive Editor. Jonathan Maxwell Allen, SBA 3L Class Representative. Paige Hoffman Allen. Allie John Bessick with his daughters. Alistair Betts with his sons Connor, who's soon to be 13, and Aiden, 11. J. Garrett Cambron, cum laude. Jasmine Renee Chenault. Zachary M. Chesser. Alicia Kimberly Coles, Journal of Animal and Environmental Law Senior Notes Editor. Andrew J. D'Amelio, cum laude, with his sons Archer D'Amelio, who's 3, and Alden D'Amelio, who's 2. Chelsea Nicole Dermody, cum laude. Katie Elizabeth Embry. Alexander Foley. James K. Gerlach, magna cum laude. Ryan Matthew Glass, cum laude. John Carl Gray II, magna cum laude. Samuel Q. Groft. Kevin Alexander Emhoff, cum laude, and SBA president. Simon Isham. Simon receives a Certificate of Accomplishment in Transactional Skills. Brianna Nicole Lathan. Martin Mazikas. Brian Phillips Murky, magna cum laude, University of Louisville Law Review Senior Notes Article Editor and Moot Court Board Vice President of Internal Competitions. Jessica Ann Morgan. Philip Anthony Pearson, magna cum laude. John Patrick Purcell, cum laude. Sadmira Ramick, cum laude. Adam Nicholas Redman. Caitlin Reiser, magna cum laude, University of Louisville Law Review's Articles Editor. Rebecca May Saksevsky, cum laude, with a Certificate of Distinction in Transactional Skills. Trey Shoemaker. Leah Martha Spears, magna cum laude. Josh Stearns, magna cum laude, Journal of Law and Education, Editor-in-Chief. Seth Todd, cum laude, SBA, ABA representative. Sydney Marie Veek. Evan Wright, cum laude. William Richard Adams II, magna cum laude, University of Louisville Law Review online content editor and executive editor. Kristen Marie Barrow, with her children Warren Ishkako Barrow, who's 2, and Julianne Ishkako Barrow, who's 1.5. There's always a little comic relief. Anisha Brickell Blakey. Morgan Nicole Blind, magna cum laude. Tiara Brown. Rachel Burnside. Benjamin C. Kaufman, magna cum laude, and University of Louisville Law Review notes editor. Chase Cunningham, magna cum laude, University of Louisville Law Review senior notes editor, and a Certificate of Distinction in Litigation Skills. Suhaila El Musawi Muhammad, magna cum laude, Journal of Law and Education notes editor, walking with her son Majid Muhammad, who is 3. Nicholas Evans, who graduated in December 2017 with a dual degree in law and a master's of business administration. Kylie Morgan Fitzsimmons, Moot Court Board Vice President of External Competitions, and will graduate in December 2018 with a dual degree in JD and Masters of Arts in Bioethics and Medical Humanities. Mark Charles Fry, walking with his daughters Kimberly Miller and Julie Fry. Matthew Gooden. Devin Michael Hall. Aurora Harden, magna cum laude, University of Louisville Law Review notes editor, walking with her children, Cameron Harden, who is 7, and Isabella Harden, who is 6 months old. Carlos Hernandez Ocampo, walking with 2 children, Frankie, who is 2, and Aurora, who is 6, both born during law school. Brianne Michelle Horn. Jennifer Elizabeth Hubbard. Jesus Alberto Ibanez. Mark Anthony Little, cum laude. Madison Wallace Mance, cum laude. Gina McCubbins, who will graduate with a Certificate of Accomplishment in Transactional Skills. Brian Grant Meter, cum laude. Mariana Joy Michael, magna cum laude, University of Louisville Law Review articles editor. Liam Wynn. Jordan Potts. Jennifer Reynolds, cum laude, Journal of Animal and Environmental Law Articles Editor. Kimberly M. Simpson. Oh, uh-oh. Miles Devon Skeens IV. Chase Smith. Hayden Alexander Sweat. Adam Hunter Wetherington, summa cum laude, University of Louisville Law Review Editor-in-Chief and valedictorian. Adam Michael Woody with his daughter Ella Woody, 2 months old. Andrew Austin Yates. Allison Claire Blakelock, cum laude. Matthew E. Bosch, cum laude. Megan Alyssa Brayboy with her children Mackie and Sophie Bynum. They're both 12 years old. Carly Marie Capps. Lincoln Jordan Carr, Journal of Animal and Environmental Law Notes Editor. Georgia Turner Connolly, magna cum laude with her daughters Dinah Elder, who's 4, and Olivia Elder, who's 2. Catherine Faith, cum laude, Journal of Animal and Environmental Law, Senior Articles Editor. Tess Fortune, Journal of Law and Education, Subject Matter Editor. Michaela Hayes. Matthew Cody Hill. Andrew Richard Horning, Journal of Law and Education Subject Matter Editor. Elizabeth Ann Emhoff. Abigail Victoria Lewis, cum laude. Cynthia Magruder, walking with her son, Thomas Flannery. Sarah A. Ortiz, cum laude. Spencer Kimball Probst, cum laude, Moot Court Board President, walking with his daughter, Emmeline Probst, who's 15 months old. Matthew S. Purdom, SBA Vice President of Finance, walking with his daughter, Millie Catherine, who's 1 month old. Taylor K. Richard, magna cum laude. Devin Shines, who's walking with her daughter, Iris, who will be 9 months old. Wesley Shines is graduating in December 2018 with a JD MBA and will be trading off with his wife to walk the rest of the way with his daughter, Iris. Christopher Schoss. Caitlin Hope Skeens, summa cum laude, SBA Executive Vice President and University of Louisville Law Review Articles Editor. John Ross Slack, summa cum laude, University of Law Review Notes Editor, Certificate of Distinction in Litigation Skills, and he's also selected as Brandeis Outstanding Graduate. Let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Slack. On Thursday, August 13th, 2015, in Bigelow Hall on our campus, the entering first-year class signed the Brandeis School of Law oath, swearing to uphold the School of Law's Honor Code and U of L's Student Conduct Code. Jefferson County Family Court Judge Stephen Gorge spoke and assisted in administering the oath. The signed oath was framed and hung in the hallway on the second floor of the law school. It's right over there on the edge. The signed oath was framed and marks the law school graduates' 3 years of education. And this occasion marked the student's entry into the legal profession. It is now fitting to present the signed oath to John as the outstanding graduate of the class of 2018. He was selected for his outstanding leadership, exemplary performance in providing service to his fellow students. Jessica Marie Stempel, cum laude, with a certificate of distinction in litigation skills. Christopher Ian Stopper. Catherine E. Tapp, cum laude, University of Louisville Law Review Managing Editor. Miles O'Brien Titchener, cum laude. Nicholas Veroff. Karina Villa. John R. Weber, cum laude, Journal of Law and Education Subject Matter Editor and Certificate of Distinction in Transactional Skills. Richard Joel Whetstone, Jr., magna cum laude with a Certificate of Distinction in Litigation Skills. James Wilkerson, SBA Public Service Chair for 2 years, Journal of Animal and Environmental Law Associate Editor, walking with his daughter, Blair, who's 4 years old. Richard H. Winterkorn, magna cum laude. Christopher T. Wolf.
Join me, please, in one more round of applause for all of the graduates. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you Karen Faulkner, who is an active member of our Law Alumni Council. You may know her name because of those big blue signs you see all over town. Karen is currently running for judgeship. We're particularly grateful because, as I said, she's a very active member of our Law Alumni Council, but the incoming president was supposed to greet you, and he frantically began texting her this morning because his wife gave birth earlier this morning, and he thought that maybe the first day was more important with his new family than with us. That's hard to imagine, isn't it? So Karen really came in at the last minute. We're very grateful. She's a lawyer practicing here in Louisville. She's been practicing for 13 years and is, as I mentioned at the outset, a 2005 graduate of the Brandeis School of Law. So Karen?
Thank you all. Class of 2018, when I thought about what I would say to you coming here today, I looked up a couple of Brandeis quotes. One of my favorite ones, one that stuck out to me and is absolutely appropriate based on everything that I've heard today, from your class speaker to your guest speaker. Louis D. Brandeis said, "Most of the things worth doing in the world have been declared impossible before they were done." 3 years ago today, you all walked into the School of Law and probably were absolutely excited about making it to this stage today. Probably 3 years ago, after those first set of finals, many of you all weren't sure if we were going to make it to this stage today. But you did, and we're so very proud of you. Through those 3 years, you have spent time getting to know each other, becoming friends, learning, going to decedents' balls, Westlaw events, staying up all night studying, taking exams, and preparing yourself for the bar exam so that you will join us as a member of the bar. As an alumni of the University of Louisville, I'm very proud of my school. I continue to serve the school, and I'm grateful for everything that this school has given to me. I'm grateful for many of the professors you see here on stage, as they also taught me 13 years ago. I am grateful for the opportunity that the University of Louisville, my law degree, and as was mentioned earlier, the privilege of that law degree has brought me. I have committed myself to public service, but I've also committed myself to this law school. And as a member of the alumni of law school, we're asking you to join us. We're asking you to be proud of your school and proud of your accomplishments and proud of the degree that stands behind you. We hope that you will continue to commit yourself to this school once you are a member of the bar. I think it's absolutely fitting why I'm here today. As was mentioned, I am here because the president just had a new baby and is at the hospital. But this is exactly the kind of example that we hope to give to you. This is what we do for each other. You will find that members of the bar will support you in any need that you may have. And particularly the brotherhood and sisterhood of the University of Louisville will be there to support you. I encourage you to lean on the faculty that have taught you. I encourage you to lean on each other, and I encourage you to lean on the alumni, as we want you to succeed, and we are so excited to have you standing with us and making our name and our degree and the accomplishments that we have even better with the accomplishments that we all know that you will have and make and project out into the future as you continue forward. I want to leave you with one last quote. Justice Brandeis said, "If we would guide by the light of reason, we must let our minds be bold." I ask you all as you move forward to be bold. Whatever you choose to do, whether it be public service, whether it be private practice, whether it be continuing on in the military, I ask you to be bold, to use this degree and to use this privilege in a way that creates not only a reputation for you, but creates what the law is all about changing, about learning, about opportunities. And I ask you to be bold. I also ask that as soon as you all graduate, you give us a call and join the U of L Alumni Board. We'd love to have you, and we're looking forward to you standing with us. Thank you, class of 2018.
Thank you very much, Karen. Now, of course, the sad fact of law school graduation is that as momentous and important an achievement as it is, it's the beginning of the end, because the end is at the end, for most of these people, the end of this summer. That is, they now, after a week or so of trying to enjoy themselves and this very important moment, they need to hunker down and study for one of the most challenging tests they will face in their life. And it's very important, and my bit of advice, if anyone's asking, is that they treat it like a full-time job, because you only want to do that once. So I say this because for many of you in the room, you're still not going to have a husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, sister, brother, son, daughter for the next couple of months, because they should be burrowed away preparing for the bar exam. But there is light at the end of the tunnel when in a few months they are done. So thank you to all of you. We know that you have, in your own ways, had to sacrifice to help get these people here. So we'd like to thank you as well. But do remember that you have to leave them alone for the next couple of months. And now, it's my great pleasure and somewhat bittersweet to say this final congratulations to the class of 2018. As Kevin mentioned, I'm not the dean they entered in with. I've only been here for 4 months. But for me, this will always be a very special class, because this is the first class at whose graduation I've presided as the dean here at the School of Law. And so I look forward to continuing to get to know these people better and watching them mature and grow in their careers. As you've heard, members of this class possess an incredible amount of intelligence, commitment, creativity, passion, and grit. And you can see from, if only the kids walking across the stage or the people we have who have served in the military, that people have made great sacrifices to serve here, from their classwork to activities in public service and their personal responsibilities as well. I know that many of them will continue to excel, and as I say, we look very much forward to continuing to work with you as friends and alumni in the years to come. Congratulations, class of 2018. We will now begin to process out. I would like to ask that the audience, if you could all be seated, please, and wait until the last of the graduates has left the theater. Thank you very much.